My favorite animation studio in Japan is Kyoto Animation for the constant high quality production, the steady stream of animation they put out yearly, masterful visual storytelling, and innovative animation techniques. Not every project is a hit, and the studio does make some questionable decisions, but Kyo Ani is a studio that tends to put quality over quantity, nurtures the creativity of their animators, and actually pays them a good wage. Their strict yet careful practices and management of the studio is something that many others in Japan could learn from, because almost every new release KyoAni puts out is one that I celebrate. As with how much the studio improves with each project, I'm always waiting to be surprised with what they do next. My favorite romance anime is I Can't Understand What My Husband Is Saying, not only for being a hilarious and memorable rom-com that I can watch over and over again and not get bored of, even though each episode lasts for a mere 3 minutes, but for the strong and likable main and supporting cast with a few characters that I myself can relate to, and more importantly, the fact that the relationship between our couple is grounded and down to earth, as they start the series with already being married and have to learn how to keep the relationship afloat as their total opposites. And the anime demonstrates this flawlessly by showing that the couple truly cares about each other and won't stop working at the relationship even when life's biggest roadblocks get in the way. So when you bring together the manga from the original creator of my favorite romance anime and my favorite animation studio in Japan, it's a recipe that I can't turn down and I'm sure I'll end up loving. And God, did I love it. Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid is a show that has everything I could possibly want in media. It's a show that fills me up with so much joy and happiness before taking that away from me and making me feel real and raw emotion when I least expected. It has a strange yet real and grounded relationship and family values that you don't see much of outside the stories that define itself around its homosexual main characters. It has a likable and memorable cast of main and supporting characters that stand out from and complement each other well, but most importantly, it's a show that takes its time to let us get to know and develop these characters with their own arcs, making us care for them over the course of 13 beautifully animated episodes. Title character Kobayashi is one of the most mature adults I've seen in anime. She's a person who is very calm, as seen by her reaction to welcoming world-ending dragons into her life, observant with how she takes people and problems into consideration and finds solutions to those problems, easygoing, at least when she's drunk, but she also has her limits, isn't afraid to speak her mind, and doesn't exactly see how her life changes before her eyes. As a woman who works a stressful job under an asshole boss and is constantly relied on by her co-workers as she's the best at what she does, Kobayashi has to distress by drinking and indulge herself into her secret hobby as a maid otaku. Kobayashi's life was a comfortably lonely one that didn't warrant any change, like getting a new job, stopping her habits or hobbies, or making upgrades or changes to her surroundings. She was fine with how her life was, and definitely wasn't fine with how Toru introduced herself into it. Toru is the complete opposite of Kobayashi. She's rash and thinks with her powers as a dragon first, like how she almost killed her neighbors over their bickering instead of finding a solution like Kobayashi did. She's embracive and doesn't know the concept of personal space. She's unaware of her surroundings and how to properly live as a human, but she's also reliable, thoughtful, and most importantly, kind. After being hurt by humans, Kobayashi is the only human being that Toru trusts. And as a character who was very lonely but was aware and unhappy with the feeling of loneliness, Toru has a deep affection for Kobayashi and clings on to her for company and emotional support. She's a character who is very open with her sexuality and preferences, something that Kobayashi understands and doesn't have a problem with, but isn't looking for in her life, as that would bring a lot of unnecessary change. But after Toru demonstrates her skills and determination to improve for Kobayashi as a maid, Kobayashi allows her to stay as she can earn her keep in the household that she's now living in. But Toru still has a lot to learn when it comes to being a human and a romantic partner. The biggest one is that she can't force herself onto Kobayashi's affection. Yes, Toru needs the emotion and support of the only person that truly understands her. Yes, Toru is a dragon that thinks differently and doesn't quite know what humans want, but Toru is clingy and protective of Kobayashi, doing things that invades Kobayashi's personal space. Kobayashi bites her tongue on this until she has enough and asks a depressed Toru to please respect her more as a person who is rather closed off and doesn't show her emotions as well as her counterpart. And after this conversation, the two of them get what they want and grow as people. Kobayashi has an easier time allowing Toru to completely take a place in her life and maybe even as a partner. And Toru gives humanity a second chance and inspires her friends to do so as well because of her closeness with Kobayashi.
And you genuinely believe these creatures are worth such high praise, do you?
Yes, I do.
Miss Kobayashi is one of them.
She calms down, learns not to be as rash and jump to a violent conclusion, and goes against her natural instinct as a murderous and world-ending dragon to learn about humans and how to live among them. And then of course there's the introduction of Kana into their lives. I don't hide the fact that I hate children, especially young children and dumbass teens. Anime tries to correct this problem for people like me by either making the child a perfect, quiet, and plastic imitation of children that are here to be cute and manipulate your heart, making them act somewhat like children and surround them with characters to help balance out their actions, or they can have children act like children and not make me want to watch the show at all. Dragon Maid has a great setup and excuse for letting Kana get away with who she is and not have it be a manipulation. When she's introduced, Kana is very angry, possessive, and foul-mouthed for her age.
You sliding glasses!
But it's not genuine, as the show tells us that Kana's parents practically neglected her by abandoning their responsibilities as parents and letting Kana raise herself. This led to Kana becoming a troublemaker and getting expelled from school. Like Toru, Kana was very lonely and clinged on to Toru to give her company and a scrap of emotional support. Kobayashi has none of her childish bullshit when Kana comes to take Toru away from her and properly disciplines Kana and puts her into her place. But Kobayashi also gives Kana something that she's never had, and that's understanding. Unlike Toru at the point, Kobayashi was able to communicate to Kana that an adult understood that she wasn't a bad kid, only troubled by the lack of proper guidance in her life. And since Kana can't get the care or attention she needs from her parents or any other adult in her home world, Kobayashi becomes Kana's guardian and lets her stay with her and Toru. It's here we see Kana's true colors as a quiet yet understanding child, and because she's around the age of 7, like many children, she absorbs traits from her elders. She has a bit of Kobayashi's observations, like when she's ready to ask for a charm but puts it back when she sees how much money Kobayashi is spending on items that she actually needs. She's reliable like Toru and has a good sense of right and wrong, like seeking out the help of an adult when there's trouble, but she also demonstrates childlike behavior, like staying up late to try and catch Santa or getting mad at her parents. As her family becomes more comfortable with each other and settle into their daily lives, Dragon Maid also takes the time to let us get to know the supporting cast and see what kind of lives they lead. Lukawa, a very sexual dragon by nature, attempts to become more PG-13 for the human magic user Shota and tries to become his caretaker in place of his absent working father. And Shota, the boy that accidentally summoned her, has to learn to accept her into her life and see that she's sincere with trying to take care of him and help him with his magic. Elma, who came to Earth to bring Toru back to her homeworld, devotes herself to blending into human society and becomes an office woman in order to eat more human food. And finally, after deciding to give humanity a shot, Fafnir takes up residence with Kobayashi's co-worker and pours all of his natural violent tendencies into violent video games, the most common outlet people turn to in order to dispel their frustrations, and Fafnir uses a game where you loot for treasure and kill dragons. As if I didn't love this show enough. And when watching these characters live their daily lives, I can't help but think about how a lesser show would have not done them justice. A show where the main point was to print money by selling the viewer on the fact that there were cute girls. A show that would have been bland to look at with uninteresting directions, shock composition, and a color palette that only knew bright colors because apparently that's all people want to see, right? A show that didn't want to take its delightfully slow time to allow these characters to grow and form bonds with each other. But in order for me to express my full appreciation for this show, I'm afraid I'm going to have to go into spoilers, so please follow the time on screen in order to skip ahead to the end of this video. What makes episode 9 my favorite episode is how it proves that Toru, Kana, and Kobayashi has become a true family. Kobayashi is confused when Kana is rightfully angry at her for practically brushing off the fact that she can't attend Kana's first sports festival. After their small argument, the two realize something about each other and learn important lessons that contribute to their bond with each other. Kobayashi realizes that when she was a child, she wasn't Kana and didn't have her kind of upbringing. Kobayashi may have understood and been used to the fact that her parents couldn't come to her own sports festival because of work, but Kana doesn't and wants her guardian to be there to cheer her on, not just Toru. And after Kana realizes that she was wrong for yelling at Kobayashi and takes it upon herself to see the reason why she can't come to the festival, that reason being that Kobayashi has to work to provide for Kana financially, the two decide to work hard for each other. Kobayashi begins to work overtime in order to take a day off for Kana, and Kana works hard in order to win at the sports festival for Kobayashi. Meanwhile, Toru is cheering them on in the background. It's the communication, understanding, and dedication that Kobayashi, Kana, and even Toru has for each other that makes me really love this episode. Each of them does something that a real person and a real family would do for each other, and it's that down-to-earth realism that just makes me want to melt into a puddle of joy every time I think about this episode. What makes the beginning of episode 13 so heartbreaking for me is seeing Kobayashi and Kana struggle without Toru. When looking at the distress on her face when Kana tells her that Toru was taken back to her home world, you can tell that Kobayashi is trying to keep it together and not break down in front of Kana, but Kana, being as understanding as she is, does her best to give Toru an easier time taking care of her by doing small things in order to reassure Kobayashi that everything will be okay, and tries to take care of herself at a young age while Kobayashi works hard to provide for the two of them. Both of them are damaged without Toru and live with the same feeling of loneliness they lived without ever since Toru came into their lives. The emotion presented in these scenes are genuine because the show took so long to let us get to know these characters and witness their family bond, only to rip that away from us in the final episode and make us suffer like they are. But what makes the final episode so triumphant is how we see that Kobayashi has truly grown as a person and puts everything she's learned and experienced over the past several months with Toru in order to stand up for the one she's allowed into her life all those months ago. And she tells Toru that she doesn't have to listen to her father or Kobayashi or anyone because her life is her own. Yes, Toru has an incredibly long lifespan. Yes, Kobayashi will die before she knows it. But if Toru chooses to go back to Earth with Kobayashi and Kana and lives as a human and Kobayashi's partner, then Toru can make memories with Kobayashi as she continues leading her own life with the one she loves and will cherish those memories later when Kobayashi is gone. And in that moment, Toru learns that no one has the right to dictate her life. Not her father, not Kobayashi, but her and her alone. She should be the one to decide what makes her happy. And Toru decides to be happy with Kobayashi. And Kobayashi is okay with that. And there you have it, all the reasons why I love Dragon Maid. But before you go, I have one more thing to tell you all. Hey guys, Ari here, and I was planning on recording this visually, but unfortunately the camera on my new computer is fucking abysmal and I never want to use it. But I just wanted to quickly thank you all for 100 subscribers. I've been making videos on this channel for 5 months, regularly that is, and I can't believe we've already hit it. That's really crazy, and thank you all so much. I do have a 100 subscriber video already in the works. It's just not gonna be up as soon as you think it will be because I wasn't planning on hitting 100 subs so soon. I had already planned to upload 2 other videos and they were kind of scheduled, so that 100 sub video isn't gonna be going up until late February, especially since it's a talking about anime video and I don't want to upload 3 or 4 anime videos in a row and have all the people that subscribe here for just the comics think I was going fully anime and unsubscribe. But no, that's not the case, so don't expect to see that video so soon. I have to knock out the other 2 first and put a few bite-sized episodes in there as well. Another thing I wanted to announce is the monthly comic roundup is now going to be going live from here on out. Partly because this month I wasn't able to do the seasonal anime live stream as I was too broke to keep up my subscriptions. Partly because I just wanted to do the video and get it out of the way, and partly because I just want to go live more. So that's going to be live stream here on YouTube. I was going to do it between both YouTube and Twitch, but then I realized that this computer is kind of a budget computer, so I don't know if it can stream between the 2 platforms well enough. That, and I just found out that this camera is fucking horrid and I never want to use it. So expect for me to go live pretty soon in the next few days. I don't know what's going to happen. You're going to have to follow me on Twitter for that, but it's more than likely probably going to be on either Sunday, and if not Sunday, then Tuesday. So I hope to see you there. And with that, that's the end of the video. Please remember to follow me on Twitter at callmearins. Please remember to subscribe to the channel. The Ko-fi is down there if you would like to buy me a coffee and keep this channel running as smoothly as possible. And with that, I'll see you all in the next video. Take care.